Maura has got that wicked sense of humour, that tongue, that lashing. Talisa was obviously my boss and leader from the start. Richard for me was like probably the biggest surprise. Colleen is just a very, very genuine person. You know, you can tell she's a great mum. She's got steel right through her. She's got a humour about her, a very northern traditional values and morals, very similar to my own. Can be quite, like, I wouldn't say shy actually, just she can be quite reserved until she knows it's like her time. And yeah, very, very genuine is what I would say about Colleen. Jane was, you guys will know, but Jane was one that where you might have a bit of, oh, she's a journalist, you know, she works for the Sun, is Jane gonna, and immediately that was dispelled with Jane. Jane's a super hard worker. She was up first in the morning doing the fires, super hard worker. She spoke about her daughters all the time who I know are here, so you know, that caring motherly nature of hers, and that came across in camp. But also she's got amazing stories, super intellectual, so you could have some really great conversations with her. And yeah, I'm probably a surprise, because you're thinking of that journalistic, you know, talent that she has of, oh, am I opening up too much? But there was none of that with Jane. Oti is exactly what I said. She is smiles for days, passion, love, like just enthusiasm. The cuddles of Oti are like no cuddle you've ever had. She squeezes and she's in there, and you can just feel that passion from Oti. Maura has got that wicked sense of humour, that tongue, that lashing, you know, kind of, we sniped back and forward at each other and we absolutely loved that. Probably like a big brother type thing of, you know, me saying something and she chipping back, but her humour was fantastic. GK is absolutely my humour. She goes where nobody should go, GK goes. And we got on, considering GK was the youngest person in camp, I believe this year. Like, I got on with her so well, but that was from really early on. I kept coming out with silly jokes and she'd be like, oh my, I've got terrible dad jokes with me the whole time and all. And our humour, I think, just completely brought us together. So Talisa was obviously my boss and leader from the start, and we had our own little room at the top of camp, and we formed this really, really close relationship up there, because Talisa liked to get involved in camp and be in chats, but also she liked her own time, Talisa. And it was nice that we had those chats together, and actually hearing Talisa's stories is incredible. So it was really nice to get to know Talisa, because it was a lot of times where it would just be myself and her talking in the leader's lodge, so it felt very personal. Danny was just brilliant. Danny's got like all them talents, like, you know, for someone like me, I'm looking at him thinking, typical. He's good looking, he's a rock star, he plays the guitar, he sings amazing, he writes songs, he's funny. He's the guy that you just want to go for a pint with every day, Danny. I could go for a beer with Danny every single day of the week. I know I'd be happy, smiling, and I'd have a great night. Barry was brilliant. Barry's stories, certainly about boxing, are so intriguing. The amazing thing with Barry is as well, he has this unbelievable memory of, well, yeah, back in 1987, I was in round 2, and it was 1 minute 30 seconds into round 2, and you're like, how do you remember all these crazy stats? But his boxing career, you know, was so amazing. And even now, talking about his sons and his family, but his son's now a trainer and going through all that, it's riveting to someone like me as a sportsman. Melvin, the coolest guy, literally the coolest guy, because there were so many big personalities in there and things like that. Melvin was chill. Melvin was the guy who was just sat in a corner and you could go and have a nice 10-minute chat with Melvin. He was really chilled out, but what a cool guy. And I'm like, please teach me how to be cool. Richard for me was like probably the biggest surprise. I didn't know much of Richard before. You know, I'd seen the bits on Strictly and other things like that. So when you see his wicked humour and the things he says are quite outrageous at times, but he says it with that tongue-in-cheek, that sparkle in his eye, and again, he's got amazing stories. He's lived 4 or 5 lives already, so he's got these great tales and he tells them in the most humorous way. Dean, the only word I can use for Dean is energy. When he was in camp, he was up singing in the morning, dancing in the morning. He was like bang, he was like a battery. He charged everybody up, and then he was off obviously doing the trials and all that, but his energy and like his enthusiasm for everything. And then honestly, when Dean left the camp, you could feel that, like, because his energy, sometimes, you know, we'd have some times on the camera and he'd be like poof, and he'd pick everyone up, and then when he left, you could really feel that he'd left, because his energy was so big.